All right. I think we are rolling. You ready for this?
Ready.
Okay. Super excited because a couple things. One, we are launching this podcast, which is going to be awesome. The other thing is that you are coming on as a coach within Hansen Coaching. So it's transformed from Connor Hansen Coaching to just Hansen Coaching because there's going to be two of us.
It's awesome.
Super excited. So I thought with this first podcast, we would just kind of give an introduction, brief on my side, because people have probably heard it a lot more than your experience. And then just kind of what people can expect moving forward. Sound all right?
Sounds awesome.
Sweet. So
Looking forward to it.
my background, got a degree in exercise and wellness from Brigham Young University, started a gym in Pleasant Grove. But before all of that happened, I got something called osteomyelitis. When you and I first got married, we'd been married, I don't know, a few months at that point, a month. And really rare bone infection in my low back. I was pretty much paralyzed, right? You had to tie my shoes for me. It was quite an ordeal. But I promised myself that if I got out of that situation, if I got out of that pain, I would dedicate my life to doing something great. And I didn't know what that was. Over the years, it transformed into helping people with their health and fitness. We started the gym in PG, which that could be 6 podcasts in and of itself. But then we moved here to Arizona and we took the training online, which I feel like we've been able to help people in such a deeper way because we focus more than just the workouts and in the gym. It's a lot more nutrition, mindset, thought work. We've been doing the full-time coaching for coming up on 3 years, and it's been pretty incredible. So brief background on myself and how I got into doing what I'm doing. Maybe share with the people listening or watching some of your background and experience in health and fitness.
Oh man, I feel like it's been my whole life, but in a lot of like different ways. I was an athlete, played lots of different sports, finalized in cheerleading and cheered for 12 years and then 5 years in college. And in college we had like a strength training class that we got to attend. And I started to fall in love with lifting weights and that side of it, but still the cardio side. And that's kind of like where I started. And then after meeting you, I got more into weightlifting because you loved it and I wanted to join you at the gym. And he taught me all the different kinds of lifts and how to focus on different body parts. And then once I felt solid in the gym, we then focused on my nutrition and he helped me and my relationship with food, which is still an ongoing thing.
Sure.
And so now I feel like I've been able to get a better understanding of weightlifting, nutrition, habits, mindset. Along the way, I have suffered from different eating disorders and a whole array, but health and fitness has been the main part of my life and our life together.
Yeah. We've been coming up on what, 10 years?
Almost,
at this point? Holy cow. Yeah. And on our 5th year wedding anniversary, something pretty traumatic happened. You want to share a little bit?
Sure. Legend was 2 years old, and in May of that year, I had an ectopic pregnancy where it gets stuck in a fallopian tube. And so I went in and had a minor laparoscopic surgery, and they removed that fallopian tube, or just the section of the tube where the ectopic pregnancy was. And
you make it seem like it's not very intense. That was intense. I was at work and you called me and you had.
It was a one-day thing.
It was a in and out. It was an outpatient. But it was a big deal. You spent that day in the hospital. You went general anesthesia. You were bleeding internally. It was a bigger deal.
I'm not trying to push it under the rug or make it.
It's not as big as this next one.
It's a big deal. I was able to heal from that pretty quickly. And we progressed with our life and came pregnant again. And at about the same amount of time, I started to experience the same things I had with my ectopic pregnancy. So I was rushed to the hospital by you and went into immediate surgery instead of being monitored the whole day. And I had to have 3 liters of blood removed from my trunk. So they did a large T cut across my abdomen. And I ended up having like 20 staples at the end of it. And I was in the hospital for 5 days. And yeah, the recovery was long and hard and discouraging. And it was pretty traumatic. My surgeon, who was my OB, actually saved my life. So really grateful for that he took priority in me that day. And
yeah, it was one of those things that, like, I think, and you and I had talked a lot about it since, that PTSD is very real. Mm-hmm. And I, for the longest time, had so much PTSD about that day that it started boiling up and boiling into other parts of life. And I know that you know, that recovery was intense.
It was.
And so it was something that you went through and that you overcame. And I feel like you have become stronger because of it. Definitely. Because of what you've gone through. Yeah. And I think too, going through those things, you then are able to relate to individuals going through hard times and dealing with different things. And the fact that you have been through so much, 3 pregnancies, three babies, having 3 babies, 5 pregnancies, 2 ectopic pregnancies, eating disorders, hormonal, PCOS, you have PCOS.
Yeah, really bad. Actually really painful.
Yeah, right. I feel like there's a lot of people who in your same situation would say, oh, well, life's against me and I can never be fit.
Definitely. And I feel like I have been there at phases in my life. So I do understand I have 3 little kids who are so demanding of me. I have PCOS, therefore my insulin resistance is different than everybody else's. And it makes it harder to deal with that and the food that comes with that. And there are days that I just want to use all of the excuses in the book. And I have them. Yeah. I have them. But instead of letting them run my life, I choose to take control and live my life the way I want it to be.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. And I think that's one of the main, that's a huge contributor of you coming on as a coach, I feel like, because I can speak to some of these things from an educational standpoint, right? I have the business or the education from Brigham Young. I got the degree. I have certifications in nutrition and personal training and behavior change and, every corrective exercise and sports performance and all these things. And I've helped a lot of people transform their life through diet, exercise, mindset, all of those things. But there are some things that I have never experienced myself. I've never been pregnant. I've never had an ectopic pregnancy. I've never had, at least to my recollection, an eating disorder, right? Like these are some things that I've never had. I've never had to kind of lose my body in a way, because you women go through some incredible things during pregnancy and childbirth where your body isn't your own for 9 months, right? And then even afterwards while you're breastfeeding and trying to figure that out, and there's lack of sleep and there's just so much to it. I've never done that. I've been on the sideline. I've seen it, right? I can speak to it in a small way. I can speak to being a busy parent and try to help, right? But I feel like that is such a huge bonus, or there's a word that I'm looking for that that you're going to bring to Hansen coaching that's going to be so awesome. And I'm super excited for it.
I'm excited too.
And so I think through this podcast, we'll answer some of the myths, we'll answer some of the, we'll give tips and tricks, and we'll do, there's a lot of different ways that we can go with this. And it will probably evolve as we go through this, as we see what we like, what we don't like, what audience enjoys, what they, like, this is just one of many, which I'm super excited about. But what would you say is, okay, if you had one piece of advice for somebody that's either and these might be different, just starting out on a fitness journey, or the mom that feels like the world is stacked against her.
Oh man.
What would that piece of advice be? And it maybe not just one single, because sometimes that's hard to narrow down to just one. But
well, I think there's one that's pretty good for all of it, is the need to be perfect. I think if you can give yourself grace, mm-hmm. and you are just as consistent as you can be, the change is consistency over time. It's not being perfect all of the time.
Yeah.
It's just being consistent over time. I am one who gains 100 pounds in my pregnancies and 100 plus in one of them. And so I have had to have that grace with myself, because it's not easy. And when you just had a baby and you're having postpartum anxiety and you're nursing and you're going through the thick of it, not sleeping, but yet you want to live a healthy life, the best thing is to just make a small degree of improvement each day.
Yeah.
And that can be, there's a whole spectrum.
Sure.
Whatever your goal is, spiritually, physically, mentally, nutrition, whatever it might be, just try to avoid perfectionism, mm-hmm. and you will make it.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that's made it through for me, is giving myself grace and time to allow the changes to happen. Mm-hmm. Because even before my first baby, I weighed more than I do now, because that's just where I was in my life. And then after each one, it's been a huge wave, and I've given myself more grace every single time. And it has paid off in a very beneficial way. Mm-hmm. And it's been a fun journey, and it's exciting, and it's motivating, and it's doable for a mom.
I love that. So consistency over time, avoid the perfectionism, avoid the need to be perfect.
Yeah.
And having, I always say, grace and compassion with yourself. Have grace, patience, and compassion with yourself as you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because some days, here's my thought, is some days are going to be better than others. There's going to be days where you feel on top of the world and you absolutely crush your workout and your nutrition's on point and it's fantastic.
And your kids are good.
And you were able to take a shower and you were able to feel good.
You went outside.
Right. And then there are days where you're going to have the opposite of that. But taking advantage of the days where you do feel awesome, and then giving yourself grace on the days where things don't go your way.
Yeah.
Right. We talk that like life is going to give you rest days. 100%. Yeah. I'm not someone to say no days off, no rest days. Like, you absolutely need those things. And 9 times out of 10, life is going to give those to you. Mm-hmm. And so taking those with stride, patience and compassion, but then on the days where like you have the ability to crush it, do your best to crush it on those.
Whatever that is.
Whatever that is. It can be, your 100% on one day might be 12% on another day, right? Like it totally gives you
6 months time, what you could give at 100%.
Where you're at.
6 months over time will be totally different if you keep going.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And I feel like that encapsulates our coaching philosophy, because so many people, they try so many different things. They try keto, they try intermittent fasting, they try, high intensity workouts. They try all of these things that they maybe see on social media, or they think will work, or whatever the case is. And they get into it and it's either too much or it's unsustainable or whatever. And they fall off the wagon, which I hate that term, because this should be a lifestyle and just, it's doable and it's simple. But people try to go too hard, too fast. They get burnt out. They stop, for whatever reason. And then it's that much harder to start anything else, because you also have like in your mind a failure in your back pocket, and you have all this stacked up against you, like, oh, I've tried X amount of times, I can't do it again. You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to do the next thing, when if people would just have the patience and compassion, make one better decision, just have it be more of a lifestyle instead of this, I'm changing everything all at once, they could be way further ahead 6 months down the road than if they started and stopped, 12 different things during that time.
Yeah.
So
you're preaching to the choir.
Patience and compassion.
Yeah.
Consistency over time, being 1% better, just trying your best.
Yeah.
Each time. I love that. Yeah, we're going to be covering a lot of different topics and different things. Anybody who's listening, like, follow, subscribe, do all of those things on whatever platform you are doing that on. If you have any questions or any specific questions for myself or for Brooke, put those in the comment section, wherever that is. Not entirely sure where we're going to be posting this, but
and I am very open. I've been through eating disorders, as he's mentioned, the majority of my life, and I'm happy to talk about those, as well as having babies and coming back from that. And I know a lot about fitness during pregnancy, just from my experience. Yeah, I had really bad postpartum anxiety that I would love to answer any questions that anyone might have, how to deal with the day-to-day, and 3 little kids that need everything from you as a mother, and how to find joy in life. I learned to crochet. I can answer a few questions about that. Yeah, so I'm an open book. So if you have a question, I would love to answer it.
Love it. Seriously, so excited for you to be part of the business. This is going to be the best. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Any questions, put those in there too. Maybe we'll make a separate podcast answering some of those. That would be really cool. But yeah, super excited about this.
I'm excited.
Awesome.